can start. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Exceed talk of today, focused on a very key topic that is AI disruption in advanced manufacturing. We are going to focus to face this AI disruption key topic through a twofold perspective. From one side, we are going to learn about direct experiences from Elisabetta Bracci, Cluster Manager, and Luca Arcangeli, Cluster Innovate, partner of the Exceed Excellence Center of Vocational Excellence, as you well know. Together which we are going to deliver the workshop of today. And a second perspective that is related to, let's say, the VET perspective, how VET is changing consequently to AI disruption. So from one side, the perspective of the company, the perspective of skills demands, emerging skills needs in the sectoral level, and on the other side, the perspective of VET providers. So we are collecting local best practices, evidences from day-to-day activity of VET providers, but these best practices can represent only a starting point for a more holistic approach to AI disruption in education. So we are going to face these two perspectives with Elisabetta and Luca from Cluster Innovate, as I was saying, and together with Ari Voicali from the University of Oulu, also responsible in the Exceed Center of Vocational Excellence of the coordination of the observatory. So thank you very much once again for joining our workshop today. And for any needs and for any comment or question, you can use the chat. During the delivery of the workshop, we're going to have specific timing devoted to questions or discussion or exchanges with our keynote speakers of today. But first and foremost, I'm going to leave the floor to Elisabetta Bracci and Luca Arcangeli from Cluster Innovate. Thank you very much once again, and Elisabetta and Luca, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much for being here. So Luca is our man for this project. So he will be in charge of chatting with you about how to create links between my presentation and Exceed. And what we wanted to do, preparing this very brief presentation, was to find out inside lots of data that we decided to reach out from our territory, the data that are more, let me say, in charge of the change that we are facing in brand new needs in education. So let me start with our slides. Just 1 second to share the screen. Condivido 1 second. Condivido. Fermo. Okay. So we would like to start with the AI paradox. Today, I'm going to speak about GPTs, but not about the AI that we all know, led by Anthropic, but the general purpose technology. Because every time we put a brand new technology on the market, we need to face a huge change. And the general purpose technologies are the type of technologies that has a deep impact, a transformative technology with a widespread application across many sectors, altering both economy and society. And in a certain sense, AI behaves like a general purpose technology because AI has the same characteristics of GPTs. It's quite pervasive, so it's used as an input by many downstream sectors. We speak about technical improvement, so they improve over time, lowering costs and increasing efficiency for users. We speak about innovation complementarities, so they increase the productivity of R&D in other industries, and most of all, the wide scope of application. So they are not limited to one industry, but are applicable across the entire economy. So we do think that AI has the same characteristics, but when we speak about general purpose technology, such as, let me show you, such as laser, okay, electricity, internet, and so on, you cannot think that you apply a brand new technology without changing everything around you. For example, when we started using electricity in companies, in farms, so what happened? We needed to change the company layout. So it wasn't just a matter about, okay, I need a brand new machine in order to create these parts, to create this food, to create a product. And this brand new machine needs electricity. Okay, but in order to use in a full way and to embrace that kind of general purpose technology that we call electricity, and that is common in our approach, we needed to start redesigning our companies. So the same happens with our processes, with our knowledge, with the brand new types of jobs that we are creating. So why then does the adoption rate still remain limited and highly heterogeneous? So why aren't we already able to redesign our layout if we want to create a parallel? So general purpose technologies do not automatically generate productivity. They require complementary investments and organizational transformation. And according to our Italian companies that are quite small, it's not so easy to face this brand new challenge. So recent acceleration, strongly place-based dynamics, market sector, market, market, sectorial and dimensional heterogeneity, persistence of an infrastructural problem, and presence of structural barriers. So these are all the challenges that our companies need to face, both private and public bodies. But most of all, we are trying to understand how can we increase the adoption in companies. And AI adoption is a cumulative dynamic process. So it develops where adoption and technological capacity already exist. So we cannot ask someone to start using AI if that type of organization isn't already facing other challenges with other technologies. And usually, when we speak about innovation, we call it like a little monkey jumping from a tree to another. So we cannot ask our companies to, or our public organizations, to have a huge jump from one tree to another. So we need a proximity increase of the level of technology that they are used to face. And what some highlights? AI follows cognitive capital. So, which are the sectors that currently all around Europe are have which sectors have the higher adoption? Information and communication services, audiovisual production, publishing, telecommunication, professional, scientific, and technical activities. Already a giant capital on that field. Lower adoption, construction, catering, everything concerning food in general, and postal services, for example. These are three examples of different cognitive capital. And currently, in lots of studies, are linking cognitive capital with the capability of absorption of this type of technology. Just to give a look to manufacturing, how can we divide this type of cognitive capital between science-based and traditional? So how big is the job that this little monkey has to do? For traditional, it's a huge job. And that's why we can see that science-based manufacturing, like computers and electronics, chemicals and pharmaceutical, machinery, transport equipment. So the AI application rating is about 22% of the entire group, while traditional manufacturing is lower than 10%. Wood, paper, metallurgy, textile, and clothing. So it means that cognitive capital is one of perhaps the main key. And the more tech is a sector, the more significant is the adoption or tech or with a higher level of R&D. And let me say also that the type of internal organization, how can we exchange knowledge internally? Another factor that we saw as quite important is the evidence and the capability of project management and portfolio management already inside the companies. Without that type of mindset and organization, it is quite tough to start this type of projects. So AI is not neutral with respect to the sector. It amplifies the pre-existing technological differences. It means that inside these companies, the science-based manufacturing, it's a percentage, a statistic. We are gonna have more companies that will survive this huge wave. In this area, perhaps less. And the infrastructural problem is something that we are facing. Significant diffusion of data platform and cybersecurity, intermediate presence of automation and machine learning, marginal adoption of AI and advanced technologies. So while we speak about infrastructures, so we start with the cultural capital, then we move to the internal approach to technology, and then we move to infrastructures. Why? Because AI requires something that is complementary, like structured and accessible data, integrated IT system, cloud and computing capacity, upskilling, reskilling, job rotation, job redefinition. So a huge effort, quite a huge effort. And what we see is that the barriers in Emilia-Romagna, so in our region, the barriers to adoption are not only economic, but structural, linked with the structure, the organization, and the cognitive capital. So let me translate it for you. In blue, you can see Europe, and in orange, you can see Emilia-Romagna, our region. So asking to companies, why aren't you adopting it? More or less, we are in line with Europe, except higher cost, but higher cost usually is not the proper answer, because it's a kind of big umbrella, and under this umbrella you have many other stuff. Cost of what? Because it's an investment, not a cost. So usually it's not full of meaning. The most meaningful are the others. So lack of knowledge of technologies, lack of internal skills, lack of perceived utility. And I think that this one is one of the most important triggers and on which we need, on the opposite side, to leverage. So I don't want to spend 1 minute on €1 from my business on something that I do not understand properly. If I don't know how to use it, how can I create an investment plan, for example? And this is the biggest problem we are facing also with the group of 50 companies that we interviewed for this analysis. And, uh, and we asked ourselves, these type of problems, these type of areas in which we want to change the perspective are different according to the size of the companies. And what we can see is that the lower are the employees and the bigger is the perception of the problem. And so micro and small businesses so they are frightened about high costs and they perceive no internal skills. On the other hand, they also have the perception that an external consultancy will be too tough to absorb. So they feel a different level of knowledge between their internal skills and the capability of external skills of the consultants. And the things that I showed you, they come from a bigger, let me, Opla report, if it works, sorry. Okay, this is the whole the whole document that I will share with you. It's in Italian, but we would like to translate it in English. It means the adoption of AI and generative AI in advanced manufacturing. And in this document that is free and is on our website, so many of us worked to create this document. So I would like to thank all my colleagues and also Massimiliano Mazzanti and Nicola Barbieri, professors from economics and management at University of Ferrara that are supporting us in creating this type of analysis. And inside this document, so I don't want to bother you, so I went very fast through many points, but you can find all the analysis starting from the world, Europe, Italy, and then our region. And all the links and the biography are inside this document. So I invite you to read it, to share it, and to contact us in order to work deeper in it. Other 2 points that we wanted to share with you is how we obtained the data. So we created 2 generative workshops, 2 focus groups with 50 territorial stakeholders. You can see some pictures. And then we created about five events at different fairs in order to reach all the informations from the field. We created original canvas. So me, Luca, and our colleagues, we created this canvas in order to facilitate working groups. And I would like to share 2 points from our group of interviewed entrepreneurs, managers, and technical responsible. These colors are very important because we ask, why are you not implementing AI in your organization? That it seems a simple question. 25.5% told us leadership, so the CEO, the management, so they are not interested in it. And I think that if you are not interested in something, is because and you have such a type of leadership, is because you studied it and you decided that it hasn't to enter in your strategy. Because AI is not a medicine. You have to use it if you need it, but you cannot say I'm not interested without studying the impact not only on your revenue, but also on the position that you have on the market. 25.5% told us we are focused on our business, core business. That is quite similar to we are not interested. So 51% of the group told us no, without something beyond. Then we move to other answers like lack of skills. And one interesting thing is we do not currently understand our processes. So we do not know where we can put that type of technology. And I think that moving from the problems to the skill, that is the topic of today, is quite important to understand that they are not only searching for skills like data analyst or something able to make a good prompt chatting with AI. So they need skills that are a kind of, let me say, infrastructural skills in order to sustain the insertion of AI, such as business process reengineering, um, lean management, so understanding which areas are adding value areas, which other are creating a loss, economical time, and so on. So they are not only searching for AI engineers, but they do need a managerial layer of skills they are missing. And when we ask them, what are helping you in order to implement AI in your organization? And we found out some leverages. And skills is a very recurrent word. Everyone was speaking about skills, but not only internal, or also external, because most of them told us, I think more than 80% of them told us, uh, okay, I have an internal lack of skills, but I could find out a partner, create a partnership, and implement technologies together. The problem is that they are finding many suppliers, not partners, that are trying to sell the technology using also a consultancy approach. But on the other hand, they cannot find someone helping them in helping them, how can I say, in understanding what they need. Because everyone is trying to sell its own technology. But we need another level, a consultancy level, managerial level of support. And this is in Italian. Let me translate it for you. So the main leverage points are mindset and internal culture, capacity in using the brand new technologies, and capacity knowledge of suppliers. Also, quality of our processes, and we need more talents. So we want a more attractive territory. Everything converge to the company strategy. Who is making strategy? So we cannot say it works. We need such a different strategy. And that's why we decided inside this project that gave us some money and some time in order to develop this type of analysis, we decided to create 3 meetings with our stakeholders, regional stakeholders, in order to work on future studies. So if you want to create a good strategy, you need to face not one future forecast, but many possible futures. So foresight. And moving from one future to many means to accept that you haven't a line on which you are walking by, but you have an environment that is quite chaotic, complex. So you must picture, you must design the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, and move between them. and create your strategy moving from the best and the worst case scenario. And that's how you can move in such a geopolitical, economical, and technological rush of things that are happening all together. Um, just to close this presentation, me and Luca, we would like to share with you three critical points for skills and recruitment. And we deeply understood these 3 points, chatting with our local stakeholders. Okay, so AI is transforming the recruitment landscape. Obvious, yes, but how? For example, I would like to quote research by Harvard made on 200, sorry, 200, more than 200,000 US companies, okay, about 300,000 US companies. And it's made from 215 to 225. What you can see is that starting from the first quarter of 2023, the recruitment of juniors, people under 27, is decreasing in a very, let me say, frightening way, while the recruitment of seniors over 50 is increasing, and 7.7 of juniors in companies that have adopted generative AI weren't asked to join the company. So it's not about people they don't want anymore. It's about people they don't hire, because the youngest professional in these companies developed some AI agents replacing the brand new youngest. So if I am 25 and I have 2 years time in order to develop AI agents, I won't hire an assistant that is 21 or 22. And that's a huge problem. But what we can see is a different approach starting from the first quarter of 2025, because all these agents aren't working as we expected to. So all the data from 2025 are better, let me say, than the ones of 2023 and 2024. Job cuts. Many examples. Let me give you one or two. Since 2023, McKinsey cut 5,000 jobs, taking account from 45 to 40,000, okay? And they developed more than 1,000 AI agents. Many companies that are moving to that field, they are coming back on their steps. For example, Klarna, that is very well known for the loyalty card managing on your phone. So they cut 700 people using, I think, a kind of 100 agents as chatbots, and they are starting rehiring because they saw that it was not a great strategy move. And I think, according to what we are studying altogether, that this type of huge people cut are happening in companies that are related with intellectual property. So you cannot cut people working like someone that is making a product. So agents, AI isn't embodied. So it's it's very simple to have an AI dematerialized thinking rather than a robot that is thinking and moving. So what we see is that this is the area where jobs are more replaced. And second, AI is fostering the gender gap because the knowledge economy has opened up the knowledge economy, sorry, has opened up new spaces for female participation and leadership. What is knowledge economy? So, thanking the technological transformation of the last 2 centuries, we supported women enter into the labor markets with many type of cognitive task-based jobs, perhaps half time, letting these type of women support their families, like giving the care to their parents or taking care of the kids. But uh, if we make cognitive task a commodity, so something that I can buy on the market, and I prefer the one that is more less expensive. So if this is a commodity, why should I take someone in my company instead of an agent making, for example, the same report, the same report, the same use of an Excel file, and because a person has a life, sometimes a baby has the flu, sometimes you go on holiday, sometimes you need 2 hours in order to go to the doctor, and so that's normal. But on the other hand, AI agent is less expensive and hasn't flu, hasn't a family. And I think we do think that this type of half-time jobs are more related with women, according to European statistics, and so AI the use of AI will create some problems on this type of jobs. And the last one is AI is running. Are you running too? And this is a very interesting labor market impact of AI study made by Anthropic. So I gave you the link. Let me say it very quick. So the red area is what AI is covering currently inside working places. The blue area is the theoretical AI coverage. So currently we are using AI in the red, but we could use it in a bigger area. Let me say it very quick. The distance between 2 points, like this one and this one, is, according to this study, is the time that someone that is working in arts and media, that's the time, the distance between the job that I have today and the job that I risk to lose tomorrow. So while this kind of technocracy is pushing AI in order to be applied to fulfill all the blue area, we need to run creating brand new skills and supporting soft skills that I prefer to call human skills, but because these are powerful skills that only humans have, such as emotional intelligence, emotional quotient, or such as the capability to negotiate, the capability to understand what is really happening, the capability to understand, not only to know. And I think that this time is not enough if we decide only to use AI to create more efficiency. This time is not enough if we would like to take it in a smooth way. And at one point, if we want to fulfill this distance as quick as we can, we are going to face a huge wave of huge problems. So sometimes the skills that can move someone from this point to this one are more related not with technical skills, but with human skills. So the capability to be a superhuman and the capability to move the value between what you're doing and what you're understanding and the value that you're bringing to the company. I think that it's a huge shift of mindset because we need to shift the value. So thank you very much for your attention. And at the end of the presentation, you have you have the link to the entire here documents where you can find all the data in a very specific way and all the documents that we refer to. So thank you very much, and I leave the floor to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Elisabetta, for this very comprehensive presentation and also, let's say, very critical, no, picture of what is coming very quickly. So I think it's very much inspiring also to think as vet providers, educators, what we can do to support these very quick transformations. I think that the point regarding the mindset, no, it's crucial because let's say without a proper mindset, we cannot in any case start up with other innovation processes inside the company or outside the company, thinking about the no, ecosystems. A personal perspective, just to contribute to the discussion. So you shared with us very interesting research, but it's also true that in this period, we are listening also very different positions, interpretations. So there is no a variety of perspectives, point of view, etc., because of the novelty, the novelty of the topic. For sure, let's say entrepreneurs cannot stop reflecting and thinking about how to integrate to better understand the integration of AI technology. As vet providers must think about AI pedagogy, no, and the impact on educational context, educational processes of these technologies. On the other side, my personal perspective is that companies has also a social responsibility. So I can understand the necessity to stay on the market, of course, to maintain or increase, hopefully, their competitiveness. But while referring to ecosystems, I personally think that company can, in any case, generate occupation or take care of their employees, no, actual and future. Otherwise, so company is not only business. Of course, business is one of the aim, but not the only one. So otherwise, we cannot speak about human capital, no? So there is a human capital, technological capital, social capital. So I think that this point on mindset is also crucial to face all these very key discussions with different stakeholders. And I think that, and it's, let's say, I'm referring to Alex Salvador, that is with us today, in this very quick and big disruptive transformation, I think that business support organizations, associations of companies, clusters can really play a pivotal role in supporting the different actors and the different single company, let's say, in understanding how to tailor these transition according to the context, the market, and their own capacity. So I don't know, Alex, if you agree with this position, but it's really a new space, for business support organizations as AR, for example.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the floor. Excellent presentation, Elisabetta. I've enjoyed it very much. By the way, I was yesterday moderating a roundtable here in a big exhibition in Barcelona related to food and beverage. It was a roundtable regarding the automation of this sector. And we placed 3 players on the floor. One speaker was a big leader of a big hotel chain here in Spain. So the end user of the mobile robotics within the restaurants or within the rooms of the hotel. So automating the hotel. On the other side was the integrator who was providing these solutions, these mobile solutions. But at the very center was a representative of the talent, of the people, of the human being. And it was a job and talent, a hiring company, huge hiring company worldwide. And the session of the hiring company was related to AI within the recruitment process. So that was one of the key points. When it comes to the position of the association, definitely we have to defend that companies work with a purpose. And working with a purpose means not only working in favor of productivity, competitivity, resilience, sustainability also, but placing human in the very center. So I think that we have to be very careful with the messages we are delivering related to AI within our world. For instance, industrial robotics, the new trend, not new, but the new trend are humanoids. But the last new trend was a physical AI. So this means AI embedded within the robot. So we are dealing on a daily basis with AI introduction, but we have to be very careful of putting always the talent at the very center of the strategy, and also be very careful with the regulations. They are mandatory when it comes to AI. And this will be another discussion. How is approaching Europe the regulation about AI, for instance, and how Asia or the United States are approaching from the other both sides of the world. But I do agree, definitely. I think it's been a very good proposition.
Thank you very much. Luca, please.
Thank you, Alex. Now, just to say that Elisabetta is no more with us because she has another meeting. Okay,
by myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
I
come
was
back.
waiting just to say you all thank you very much for hosting us here. I am in charge of this presentation because our colleague that has to do it is at a funeral. So I wanted to substitute her, but I have to go to another meeting. So I will look at the recording in order to listen to my colleagues, and sorry if I cannot remain.
Thank you very much, Elisabetta. We are going to share all the
Thank you.
materials and stay in contact also for other discussion within the Exceed project activities. Thank you very much. Any question regarding this first intervention, the inputs, some reflection that this presentation generates in your minds? Any curiosity? Luca, please.
Yeah, no, maybe I can add just one information
Please.
about the high adoption. Our study is about organizational high adoption. We saw that in several organizations, the individual, the singular professionals, the singular technicians or managers are using AI at the personal level. But it's very difficult, the organizational AI adoption. So the high adoption at the organizational level. This is another step. For this step, we are facing huge challenges. But we noticed also a huge phenomena of shadow AI. They call it the shadow AI, the use of AI at individual level.
Thank you very much. Chiara, please.
Yes, I think that this is an important aspect. Also, in our experience, we are starting now a sort of mapping of use of AI inside our organization by our colleagues. We have realized a questionnaire for analyzing anonymous, for analyzing what they are using, what they think about the AI introduction in managing processes and so on. And just today, we have a first look to the results, and I think it's quite interesting. And this is, in my opinion, a problem for the organization because everyone said that use AI, but we don't know how, when, why. So we are going to work on this with process analysis and some trainings for guiding a little bit the use of AI inside the organization. Another suggestion from the presentation of Elisabetta, also the changing in youngsters recruiting. I think this is an important point for us to reflect in. Also thinking about the implementation of Talent Factory in Exit Project and so on. I think we have to think about this point. It's quite important, in my opinion.
Any other comments, contribution? Okay, so thank you very much for this presentation. I think there is a lot of work to do and to be done by clusters and business support organization, also starting from the data, showcased in the slides by Elisabetta, because this concept or this focus on mindset and this shift of culture, starting from, let's say, managers of the companies, is absolutely essential, to generate to start up other innovation processes inside and outside the different contexts. Let's say mindset means also proper use of AI tools, respect of ethics, respect, let's say, of all what we can consider organizational culture. Let's say it's a question of changing the culture together with the new technology, but the technology must remain a partner, not a substitute of something, let's say. So I fully agree with Chiara that is a process that must be launched from the managers. No, this is also in coherence with what we have seen in the study carried out in Emilia-Romagna. Okay, so it's time to give the floor to the second keynote speaker of today. So Ari Vuikala from the University of Oulu. Ari is connected yet. And as I was saying at the very beginning of the workshop of today, this second perspective is related to vet supply chain, vet providers, how educational processes have been changing considering the disruption of AI. We are managing, for example, at Cento from several projects on European projects, by the way, on integrating AI pedagogy in vet curricula. So this is the reason why this reflection, joint discussion about integration and proper use of AI is, let's say, a fil rouge, in our activities, specifically in the last period. So I would like to leave the floor to Ari just to have some dates on his research and the research of the Exit Observatory on this topic and field, and also to leave the floor to have some advice. As vet providers, we are also cooperating with the university, because the main aim of the Center of Vocational Excellence is also to create synergies between education providers and with education and companies themselves. Ari, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Elena. So I'm going to talk about the preliminary results of the questionnaire-based study made in this Exit project, and the full title of the subject is Exploring AI Use in Technical Vocational Education and Training, the Student Practices and Teacher Perceptions of Core Skill Development. And this is in the core of the project, and how the skills are developing in the advanced manufacturing sector. So the idea of this research topic is to provide good practices of AI in better education, because the students will be using AI in courseworks in any case. We want to gain understanding and what they are using it for. Because these tools, they can definitely enhance learning efficiency and provide personalized support, but how it affects then the core skill development. So the questionnaire for students to respond to the generative AI use in learning, so how they apply and how they see that AI affects their learning. And also there is a questionnaire for teachers to evaluate the effects of generative AI use to core skill learning in their own fields. The aim is to support a sustainable and ethical use of AI to support learning, and to avoid AI use from hindering the learning process. So the research objectives from two different sides. The student perspective is to understand the extent and nature of AI use among GWET students, and to identify motivations and challenges in using AI for coursework and practical tasks. And then the teacher perspective is to explore teachers' perceptions of AI's impact on students' core technical skills, and to assess whether AI use aligns with or undermines course learning outcomes. And the research questions in this research is that how frequently and for what purposes do students use AI tools in their studies, and what benefits and challenges do students experience when using AI? How do teachers perceive the influence of AI on students' mastery of core skills in technical courses, and what strategies do teachers employ to integrate or regulate AI use in their teaching? So there are 29 student questions with sections related to background information, generative AI awareness and access, the AI use in academic exercises, impact on learning and skills, the future outlook, and recommendations. The format of the questionnaire is this kind of a Likert scale items and also multiple choice questions, and then a couple of optional short open-ended questions. The idea was to make the questionnaire as easy to answer as possible and as short as possible, but to gain enough information and data to cover these research questions. Then there is also the teacher questions. There are 31 questions total, and the focus areas are in the background and teaching context, the awareness and observations of student AI use, observed impact on core technical skills and learning behaviors, assessment and performance observations, and then recommendations on the AI use. This is similarly made questionnaire with Likert scale items, multiple choice questionnaires, and also some mandatory short open-ended questions, and also a couple of optional ones. But before I go into the results themselves, I will give a short background why we are doing this study in the EXIT project, because there are some people in here that are not necessarily familiar with the background. So there are the skill needs in twin transitions, the macro trends, and then also the AI specialist profile in EXIT project. So what kind of skills are needed in twin transitions? There is, of course, the estimation that AI education and training programs are needed at all levels. And the basic digital skills are now covering 80% of the individuals, but it isn't enough anymore to keep people employable. So you need something more. And also there are the requirements related to digital skills that are basically necessary to gain employment in almost any fields. So but also then there are the skills on top of them, which are, for example, AI literacy skills, work with AI, and especially in wet fields, it's more working with AI rather than developing it in most complex levels. Then, but there is a significant gap in AI-related skills among teaching staff. So the teaching staff also needs to be updated. And of course, this questionnaire is collecting information related to the teachers' skills as well. And also these transversal skills such as critical thinking, learning to learn, communication, and these kind of skills, they are gaining more importance. But with students utilizing AI in their studies, there is of course risk of not learning all these kind of transversal skills on top level. Then there are the macro trends in business transformation, and this is from the Future of Jobs report from World. This survey was done in 2024, and it covered 1,043 unique responses with representing companies over 14.1 million employees. So this is huge amounts of coverage. And what they found out in the questionnaire is that these kind of AI and information processing technologies are the driving business transformation in the near future very much. And I must emphasize that this is mainly made for large companies, so not for the smaller companies. And you can see that related to the EXIT project, the automotive and aerospace industry, 100% of the companies think that this is in the core. Is in the core of their businesses. In advanced manufacturing sector, the number is 80%. But when we go to the technological literacy, the automotive and aerospace is also in top there. The advanced manufacturing is number 9 with 73% coverage. So in any case, the advanced manufacturing sector is seeing the AI and also the technological literacy skills highly important in the near future. And yesterday in the news, I saw the one that Elisabetta was presenting the same results from the Anthropic, and this was in our news yesterday. And there is the CNC programmers is number 6 in the list of professions which are affected by the AI. So this is very new information in that sense. And the generative AI skills demand in Coursera courses is exponentially growing. And you can see that the enterprise enrollments are the ones that are exponentially growing. The consumer enrollments were already going a little bit down in the end of 2024. But the skills on the rise, once again, the AI and big data is the number one skills for the future. The AI and big data is the number 1 skill. So this is the one thing that is very much driving the importance to understand how the students are using and how it is applied in the education sector itself. And in ZFOP's report, it was stated that the metal machinery and related trade jobs will be highly affected by AI and machine learning. These are from last year's report, so I'm not going to go deeply through them. But there are also research from Germany stating that the AI qualification requires competent teachers with extensive knowledge of the content. But then let's go to the preliminary results from questionnaires. So there are the student perspective and the teacher perspective in everything. And today actually 20 responses came from students when I was checking through the data once again, and the first students that were stating that they don't use AI came from today. It was actually somewhere around 2 p.m. so not all the results are updated, but some I managed to update already. So the question is not basically is not that what if students are using AI. It is when they are using AI and how they are using it. And the teachers, there is only nine teacher response so far, but hopefully we will get more in the near future. So I will get them reported and analyzed statistically as well, because with nine people answering, there is no sense to make statistical analysis. Okay, so basically all the teachers were certain that students were using AI more or less. And the question, of course, is that is there policy place in the organizations, and how it's is it clear to students, and is it clear also for the teachers? And what was quite interesting in this answer is that people who are very clear, actually it was from institution that their teachers didn't know if they had any policy. So this kind of things might be a little bit unclear for students and for teachers as well. So what kind of policies are in place? But you can see that many people have reported that the policy is in development. So the one question was, what is the level of AI integration in your courses? And more than half of these teachers stated that it's still on the low level, but there is some integration at least. Of course, the integration might be, at least in the university, students were complaining that AI use is studies, so there is no real purpose for the AI to be applied in these kind of things. But of course, I'm not sure how this is applied in these studies with the low level applications. And then there is also the moderate level. It's 1/3, and then in high level. And what is, of course, very good so far is that there is no noticeable change in hands-on practical skills reported by most of the teachers, and the impact on field-specific core technical skills was there was no noticeable change. But some were reporting that somewhat decreased, one somewhat improved, and one unable to assess. But this kind of things became clear that the AI use critical perspective for AI use was when there was this kind of independent technical problem solving abilities. There you can see significantly decreased or somewhat decreased in quite high level. But on the other hand, in the programming abilities, there were few on the line of decreasing and improving, but most were unable to assess. But in safety procedures, for example, if you are trying out some ideas that are provided by AI, there was not significant change. But when we go to the critical thinking and evaluation skills, there you can see, or deep understanding of underlying concepts, there you can see quite drastic changes in teachers' perspective in the skills. And some teachers were highlighting in their open questions also that the persistence of when you're facing difficult problems, it's decreasing. You're just immediately going for AI answers to seek for the answer. But in any case, there are many times no noticeable change so far. But of course, when you are seeking the teacher's perspective, it's quite different from the student's perspective. In here, the question from the students was that, do you feel you understand the solutions AI provides well enough to explain them? And most of the students say that they are usually able to understand to explain them in the level that is that they can actually understand the idea. But if we take a look to the teachers' understanding of the students' skills, it's quite different from the teacher's perspective, from the student perspective. But the students themselves then said that they are worried about the reduced critical thinking skills in any case, even though if they are able to explain the AI's answers. The dependency on technology, and one thing of course is today that there is the issues with that these technology companies are very much US based, of course, so there is then the risk of what if something happens that you are not able to access these AI tools. So how do you go forward then? There is of course the Mistral AI from France, but it's quite a lot behind the US equivalents. And how do you primarily use AI in your exercises? Was the student questions. Some people stated, or most people stated, that they get hints when they are stuck to understand concepts before attempting to check my work after completing. But they were roughly 1/3 of the students were stating to get complete solutions, and some students were in the open questions. They actually stated that it would be quite hard for them the studies unless if they didn't have AI accessibility. And for which type of exercises do you use generative AI. Most were for research and information gathering, understanding complex concepts, exam preparation and study materials. This was actually something that was very different from teachers' perspective. They never saw that students were using AI for this kind of purpose, but the students are using it a lot for this kind of things. But one thing is that some of the answers, for example, I don't use AI for exercises. Here is 7, here is 4. So there is some discrepancies in the answers, and these answers they came today. So how do students use AI perform on hands-on examinations? And this is most of the teachers responded that no noticeable difference in the results, but some stated that somewhat worse. But then in the gap between students' theoretical knowledge and practical applications, gap has widened somewhat. So they might have better answers in theoretical parts, but they cannot apply them in practical applications then. And this kind of behavior was seen by the teachers. And one important thing is, of course, how confident are you that current assessments measure genuine student competency? And somewhat not confident was the most common answer. So teachers are not sure if they are asking or measuring the correct skills when they are using their own methods. But more than half of the teachers have changed their assessments due to AI availability. Some minor modifications and some moderate modifications. So almost all the teachers have made changes to their assessments due to AI. And this is very important. And what they have then done is more oral examinations and presentations, changed grading criteria, and these two that didn't make any modifications, and then there was some other, but I didn't have the answer for that. And then the AI integration into the study programs themselves. And the students and teachers, they are mostly in the same page that there should be some dedicated training on these AI tools and guidelines for responsible use. And then bigger differences are, for example, in the industry perspective. Students think that this is very important. In teachers' perspective, it's not so important. And also in ethics and academic integrity, focus is not necessarily considered that important, but then the critical evaluation of these AI outputs is considered quite important in both cases. And this kind of AI assisted labs and exercises. One interesting thing is that the students were thinking about these restrictions and banning of AI use. No teacher was going to suggest ban AI use or restrict AI use heavily. Only students were thinking in this kind of way. This is something that is quite interesting. But of course, at least in the university, I have actually because I'm working there as a digital pedagogy mentor also for the Faculty of Technology. So in there, some students they are not willing to use AI because of, for example, the energy use and things like that, or the water use. So the sustainability reasons. But then, because there are so few answers still on the teacher's side, I made some SWOT analysis on the open questions. So the questions were: describe a specific instance where you observed AI helping a student learn or develop skills. Describe a specific instance where you observed AI hindering a student's skill development. And what strategies have you found effective for guiding students' responsible AI use? So the strengths, these are collected from the answers, and they are some are individual answers, some are collected from different answers. Effective at assisting students with specific learning disorders. Useful for retrieval practice, where students study a lesson and then use AI to test their knowledge and receive corrections. Help students who don't know where to start find an entry point for their work. Assists in breaking down and understanding complicated theoretical aspects. Then the weaknesses: struggles to effectively support mnemonic studies. So like irregular verbs was the example here, or forming personal opinions. Students often skip reading the theory entirely and go straight to the AI for answers. And this was something that was found problematic by more than one teacher. And students may fail to think in broader contexts or connect the dots independently. And AI does not always provide the correct answer. Teachers' notes remain the essential source for exams. And this we have seen also at the university level. For example, when students need to follow some regulations from the country level, then they are asking from AI to give them the regulations, and then the regulations are from another country totally, so they are not connected at all. So these kind of things, they are very, very important. Then the opportunities: teaching students how to correctly formulate a query for AI to improve digital literacy, alternating AI tasks with real-world assignments where students must contribute their own original thoughts, using AI only after a basic knowledge of the topic has been established, and integrating AI into group work to foster awareness and critical discussion. I think these are very, very good ideas. Then the threats, of course, a general decline in the ability of students to concentrate on difficult long-form tasks. And this is something that I find worrisome myself. The risk of students blindly believing AI information without critical evaluation. This is very common. A decreased willingness for students to use their own heads or exert mental effort. And then simple execution of homework tasks by AI without actual learning taking place. And then the teachers were asked, what are your recommendations for managing AI in manufacturing education? Don't bury your head in the sand and try to leverage the potential of AI. So don't just try to ban the AI use, but actually use it and apply it. Awareness of its use. Integrate AI literacy into the curriculum in a special module taught by trained teachers. Critical evaluation of AI results is required. Students should learn to use AI as effectively as possible to understand a topic or solve a problem, but at the same time still rely on themselves and their own thinking. And AI can help to better organize the content of theoretical subjects as long as the field is known. And I think these are good recommendations. I'm really looking forward to have more responses from the teacher's side, because these are very interesting in that sense. And as a final thought from the questionnaire, there was the question: any additional observations, concerns, or thoughts about AI and manufacturing education? And I found this answer really nice, that foster natural intelligence so that it improves the use of artificial intelligence. I think this is good place to stop this presentation.
Thank you very much, Harry. Very nice presentation. Also very good answers, both from students and from teachers. I remember that these questionnaires are part of the research-based activity of our observatory under EXCEED, and we started sharing with all partners and associated partners the links to the questionnaires. So I'm going to reshare with you, because it would be very nice, let's say, to increase the number of answers in order to have even qualitative, but a larger amount of answers, in order also to prepare the report of our observatory. So if you can reshare within your networks, with your web providers, colleagues, and students involved in the different courses, it will be very appreciated. So wait for my recap email, and thank you very much in advance for your support and contribution to our research-based activity. Any question before closing our talks of today? Any curiosity regarding these preliminary results? Luca, please.
Just a brief consideration. Congrats to Harry and his team. It's very good survey, very interesting. Just one thing about the AI literacy module. This is a very good idea, but I think it's not enough because it's a situation similar to teach a foreign language. You know, when I was a student and I was in school, I remember that the module about English language. This module is separated by the others. It's an isolated module about English. It was really boring, and I think we can risk the same with the AI literacy if this AI methodology is not pervasive for every teachers in every module. Every teacher must use AI inside his specific module. Otherwise, you risk to create something, yes, separated from the others, and you risk to not have a real efficacy of your action, of not only learning to learn, but learning to unlearn also. I think is really important when you want to create a new mindset for using this AI tool. Just a bit consideration.
Thank you. This is something that I completely agree. This is very important, and that's one thing that I was asking from the teachers, that how they are actually applying AI in their own fields, but so far it was not very commonly used. So, but
Yes.
maybe at some point we will see more.
Well, personally, let's say as a trainer, I think that what Luca was saying is a crucial point. That so from one side, we need to increase the skills ecosystem around AI pedagogy and AI proper use and integration in the different learning activities, in the different learning processes through the different settings. So before being able to engage students to teach students properly using AI tools, etc. So it's also a key aspect to have well-trained teachers and trainers and in-company trainers, by the way, because in the vet field, we are also thinking about dual training programs, now where the partnership with the company is as well fundamental. So let's say this is something we are also exploring in other cross-cutting activities I mentioned before. It's not a question of using tools, it's a question again of mindset, of approaches, proper use, and these good examples start from well-skilled teachers and trainers. Often there is still the need to increase, not to upskill for teachers and trainers or vet professionals in general, before being able to properly teach with those new pedagogies and new approaches and new tools changing by the way day by day students or trainees. So this is something that probably exploring more answers through the teacher questionnaires, Ari, we will be able to include or not, or anyway to explore better for our final purposes of reporting and also recommendation for these AI pedagogy through the vet systems and training programs. Okay, so 1 minute for the last question, if any.
Just
Yeah,
congrats
please.
to Ari for this good work. I think that the questionnaire is very well structured. And talking with Luca, we are thinking about spreading it also to us, first of all, for teachers and students, but also to other vocational and training centers related to Clust-ER Innovate, and perhaps also it is to Cluster Green Tech, if it's possible, because if we have more answers, I think that it's also more interesting, the results. So we can try to spread it next weeks.
Yes, thank you very much. I will reshare the links and the email with you, and then we will think also how to disseminate that through the Exceed social media channels, because we also can collect answers outside partnership. What do you think, Ari? This was a second step, let's say, that might be useful also to enlarge the platform of answers.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. It's better the more we have answers.
Okay, so we can go on with this plan. So first of all, please wait for my email, my recap, and thank you very much in advance for sharing and answering first, as teachers, trainers, or vet professionals to the questionnaires themselves, and then share with your students and trainees. Well, thank you very much for this very interesting intervention to all the keynote speakers. We are going to share with you the materials in a follow-up email, because we have your emails thanks to your registration to the event. And we are going also to stay posted regarding not only the report translated in English presented by Elisabetta and Luca, but also with the report of our research-based activity within the Exceed Observatory that Ari colleagues, together with all the entire partnership, have been carrying out in this period. So thank you once again, and have a nice evening ahead. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.